With a warm greetings, I extend my warmest welcome to the talk show Education 4.0 for Safe, Sustainable Society.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the talk show organized by Samurja Educational Society on the theme Education 4.0 for Safe, Sustainable Societies. We appreciate and applaud our panelists and participants for the zeal to share and passion to learn with Samurja. Today is 7th Navratra, and Team Samurja prays that Goddess Durga bless us with the right wisdom to care, share, collaborate, and evolve together. Samurja means the sum of creative energies. Here is a small video what Samurja does.
Samurja Educational Society, established in the year 1991, has completed its gratifying journey of 3 decades. The society was conceptualized with the objective of educating children and preparing them to be morally upright and vocationally independent. Ever since its inception, the society has continued to take tiny steps forward, redesigning the educational fabric in all possible ways through various educational activities, besides conducting social outreach programs like the Girl Next Door and the Charity War. Samurja is constantly striving to bring together some of the most ignited minds in the field of education to introduce change in the educational fabric of the nation by providing educational vision, empowering educators, inspiring learners, and elevating various organizations through training sessions, panel discussions, talk shows, conferences, and symposiums. The society has also conceptualized and published periodicals and magazines for students and teachers. Samurja continues to explore new domains, trends, and landscapes to enrich the educators across the country by equipping them to resolve the academic challenges in their classroom to make teaching and learning more joyous and engaging. It also helps educators realize their vision and collaborate with national and international educators to have sustainable societies and a happy nation, thus redefining the paradigms of Indian education. Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Communication is the lifeline of any relationship. According to McFarland, communication is a process of meaningful interaction among human beings. Newman and Summer define communication as the exchange of facts, ideas, opinions, or emotions by 2 or more persons. Communication must be hot, where H stands for honest, O stands for openness, and T stands for 2 ways. Good communication is a bridge between confusion and clarity. It makes the team strong. We are stronger when we listen. We are smarter when we share and collaborate. Collaboration depends on some principles. The 5 principles of collaboration are trust, respect, willingness, empowerment, and the 5th one is effective communication, which is the most important. Collaboration improves the way teams work together. This leads to more innovation, efficient processes, increased success rate, and improved communication. In our schools, the communication for collaboration is required almost in every domain. The communication for collaboration between the management and the principal and the teacher, teachers and teachers, teachers and students. And in present scenario, the most challenging communication for collaboration between schools and parents, which Ashok sir describes with the acronym QUEST. Communication for collaboration between schools from neighborhood, that is the hub of learning as per CBSE, or Sahodaya School Complex. Communication for collaboration between schools within the country or schools across the globe. Precisely to know, to understand, to learn the effective communication for collaboration, and that to sustainable collaboration is indispensable for all educators. To deliberate on this topic, communication for collaboration, we have with us extremely elegant, beautiful, cheerful, charming, and excellent school leader with a 1,000-watt smile, Ms. Ranchana Pant, Director, Ramjas School, RK Puram. Ma'am, we welcome you. Kindly extend the verbal greeting to our participants.
Thank you so much, Mukta, and welcome to all of you who are present here.
Thank you, ma'am. I request Monica, ma'am, to please welcome and introduce you, ma'am, with a musical note. Welcome, ma'am. We also have with us our mentor, Dr. Ashok Pandey, Director, Elcon Group of Schools, an innovator, a brilliant collaborator and communicator. Extending guidance and giving opportunities is his habit. We welcome you, sir. Please extend the verbal.
Thank you, Mukta ji, for your very kind words. And you said a lot about communication. Let me tell you one thing you missed, and that is some people communicate through their gestures, through their body language, and their mere presence is a communication of a whole lot of things. And Rachana ji belongs to that category. So thank you for bringing over to Rachana ji. All the best.
My God.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Our other mentor is Dr. Rajesh Hasija, Director in the Prastha Group of Schools, a leader with unique qualities, but he is so humble, so down to earth. He considers everyone as his teacher, be a toddler, fellow educator, junior or senior. Amazing personality. We welcome Dr. Hasija to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Mukta. Looking forward to hear Dr. Rachana Pant, an amazing leader. I really admire her. Looking forward, Rachana ji.
Thank you, sir.
Both our mentors are amazing leaders. The positioning of Samurja Talk Show is possible due to their constant guidance. We welcome all our participants also. Without further delay, I'll request Rachana ma'am to please initiate the session formally. Ma'am, your art of communication and subtle way of conveying the toughest things are popular not only in Delhi NCR, rather pan-India. So please share your experience, your wisdom with us so that we can learn and communicate effectively. Over to Rachna ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good evening to all of you. And thank you so much, Mukta and Samurja, for this extremely informative series, the talks that you have been taking. And I would like to confess over here that I have sort of attended quite a few of these talks. And there is only one reason. And the reason being that there have been so many takeaways, so much of learning that has come with it, that I have become personally a much, much richer person with the beautiful initiatives that have been taken by Samurja as well as their mentors. I would like to thank Dr. Ashok Pandey. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandey. You have said more than what I deserve. And same with Dr. Hasija. I sort of look up to you two people as well as others for all the time learning something new. And those who are good educators are actually the most humble of all. They have no ego. And when they do not have ego, this is the way they communicate. And the other thing is the beautiful name, Samurja. सब लोगों को जाती है, वो अमृति होगा. So that is what I feel, and that is what you people have been doing.
Thank you, ma'am.
So my compliments and congratulations to all of you. You know what, Mukta, when sort of I read this topic, communication for collaboration, I thought I am not the right person for this. That was my first thought that came to me. But I still said, never mind, let me think as to what it is. And then when I sort of looked around, I found that the net is filled with sort of things on communication, things on collaboration. And I thought these are things which everybody will read. So let me not sort of deal with it. Let me just today speak from my heart. Just let me say whatever I would like to say in the way it naturally comes to me.
Great.
So that is what I'm going to do. And you know what? When we work together in collaboration, then, and this topic came, all of a sudden I was reminded of a poem by John Donne. And it was somewhere in late 1570s or 1600, around that time. And the first line I have never forgotten since the time I studied it at the university. And it said, "No man is an island."
Yeah.
And this so beautifully expresses that human beings do very badly if they are in isolated areas, because from one to another, communication is required. And once communication is stopped and they are in isolation, that is the time when they will never thrive. And I'll just read one line from that poem because I really like that poem. And it says, "No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main." And that sums up what communication is, what collaboration is. We are part of that bigger whole. Very recently, I was sort of reading about a great thinker. And this thinker is Yuval Noah Harari.
Mhm.
And while explaining the rise and the dominance of Homo sapiens in his book, The Homo Sapiens on this planet, again, he pointed about one thing. And he said that communication and collaboration with people they barely know is something that Homo sapiens do very well. See, in contrast, animals also communicate. They communicate with human beings. They communicate with their own species. They do communicate. But when they come across a stranger, they are a bit hesitant. There is an element of fear. So that's why if a dog knows the familiar people, he's okay. But the moment he sees a stranger, he may bark, he may try and bite. Why? Because there is that element of fear towards that stranger.
Right.
But in human beings, this communication, collaboration, as you have said, with complete strangers, it's something that comes across the globe beautifully. And in today's time, how sort of more can you express when you see you're not meeting people across the globe and one is communicating with the entire world? So this is what it is. Now, there are challenges to communication and collaboration. And what are the challenges to communication and collaboration? Again, I'm reminded of another story, so I'll just be telling you whatever is coming. Now, there is this story called the Tower of Babel. This story, Tower of Babel, the story is around 3500 BC, that old. It is said that it is an original myth. And what is this myth about? This is the myth about different people speaking different languages and how they communicate. What happened? Long years ago, in 3500 BC, there were people who got together and they said, let us make a tower up to heaven. And they started communicating with one another and they wanted to build this tower. Now God got a little scared. He says, what if they actually reach heaven by building this tower? So what did God do? He tried to bring about different languages. So he worked upon developing different languages and giving it to these people and scattering them all over the world. Now, when this happened, they were not able to communicate with one another. When they were not able to communicate with one another, they were not able to sort of collaborate. When they were not able to collaborate, the Tower of Babel that was supposed to be made, it could not be made. So in that way, God was safe in his heaven and all was right with the world, as they say. So this is what happened. So this is another story. It's an original myth. But what does it show? It conveys the power of sort of communication and collaboration and the power and the strength that it has. So if it is mobilized together, then you can move the world, as they say. So that is what it is. Then, Darwin's, he talked about in his theory of evolution, he said human beings keep on evolving. Similarly, language also evolves. It keeps on evolving and becomes richer and richer or different or whatever it is. And through these different languages or the evolvement of languages, it is appropriate to that age and stage. So a language of communication should be such that it should communicate to the people of that time. If today I start talking in the language of Chaucer, who would understand? Isn't it? Because, Chaucer was known as the father of English literature. When he wrote his Canterbury Tales, if you read that in the Middle Ages, I don't think so we will be able to understand that. Right? So again, what type of communication should be there? After some time, what happened after Chaucer, say 200 years after that, Shakespeare came. And when Shakespeare came in the early 1600, again, his language was different. He's known as the Bard of Avon. He's known as the sort of the English, as England's national poet, he's known as. But again, his language is again different. If you give it to the children today, it would again they will not be able to communicate with that language. They will not be able to relate with that language. Milton wrote again differently. And say somewhere in early 1700, he wrote differently. And his language was different to the extent that after Milton, when Wordsworth came in late 1700, you know what he said? He says, Milton, thou shalt be living in this hour. And why did he say this? He said this because he felt Milton had a very strong power of communication. And at that point in time, Wordsworth felt that England needed manners, it needed virtues, it needed freedom, it needed power. These things he was not able to communicate or convey, and that is why collaboration was not happening amongst people. So he felt that Milton should have been here to do that. So again, it stresses right from there till now the power of language, which is very, very important and vital. Now, what is today's language? Today's language is the language of the internet. That's how it is. So the text messages and the new set of vocabularies that come up are very, very different. And we have to learn that if we have to communicate today. Like in Chaucer's time, you had to communicate differently. I sort of remember once, my brother, I had sent him a long text, something, I don't know what, I forwarded it to him. And he wrote back saying, TLDR. For a long time, I didn't know what does this mean, TLDR. Finally, I had to ring him up and said, what does this mean, TLDR? He says, too long, didn't read. So this is the language of the, and then when my son, he was somewhere and he just went somewhere and came back and we were on Zoom and he says, BRB, be right back. Again, I didn't understand. But anyway, I'm becoming a little wiser with these two young people in my life. And so what is the language today? The language of the internet. This is the language of communication. If you want to collaborate, if you want to communicate, learn this language. So this is again. And then very recently, I'll tell you another incident. What happened? I don't understand the language of emojis at all. Once I say, once what happened? I had sent some dinner invitations to my relative. So one of my relative wrote back, sorry, Gigi, I will not be able to make it. I wanted to send a face which is crying. I sent a face which was laughing. And what a faux pas it was. It says, you're very happy that I'm not coming. And I made a complete mess. But that is how it is. So what did I communicate? I communicated something very different from what I wanted to communicate.
Right.
So that was and you will not believe these days that, there is a whole sort of book-like thing, a storybook which has been presented by making just emojis.
True.
So the most beautiful thing is no vowels, no consonants are used, and an entire story has been told. And we here, people teaching English, are talking about vowels and consonants and how they are very important for communication. Suddenly realize they are not important at all. So this is another little thing that we must keep in mind. And then you know what? This brings me back to the purpose of language. What is the purpose of language? Because in the ancient times, all those people who had a lot of knowledge, all those who were great thinkers, their purpose was to communicate something and keep it very, very specific to a few people, their language. And so they used to write in Sanskrit. So your Vedas and your Veda and the Purans were all written in Sanskrit. Even literature at that time, like the Meghdut and Kumar Sambhav, they were also written in Sanskrit. Slowly what happened, the importance of Sanskrit came down and a new mode of communication had to be made. Now, what was it? So the world was developing, people in different parts of the world, their intellectual capabilities were developing. When that was developing, literature was becoming very important. And so Persian and Arabic became the language of communication. Then after some science became very important. When science became important, then Greek and Latin became the language of communication. So even now you see a lot of formulas and things like this, they are always in Greek and Latin. So that became important. Then what happened? The Britishers became more and more important. Rather, not the Britishers. Before that, Europe became very important. When Europe became important, then Italian, French, and German became very important. So people were trying to learn those languages because they needed to communicate. As a matter of fact, Einstein wrote 4 of his papers. Later on, they were translated, but that is how it is. But then what happened towards the later part of which that came out was English. Though the native English speakers were very few. But since the Britishers were all over, that is why English became the link language, as you call it, the second language. And this has still continued till now, because now also we say fluency in English is the basic requirement in large parts of the world if you want to collaborate, if you want to communicate. So that is what they're saying. But then, so this is how we trace it down, the communication. But then what happened? Just about 50 years back, a new type of communication had to be evolved. And you know what it is. We all are doing that. And it had to be developed. Now, in this part of communication, we had to communicate not with human beings, not with animals, but with machines and computers like we are doing now. So about 50 years back, this language has developed for communication. And that is what we have to give importance to today if we want to communicate in the 21st century. We can't go back to a Sanskrit or Prakrit or any of those languages now. So now most of us are also aware that now Python is being taught for coding and for computer programming and things like this. But say, take about 40, 50 years back, what was the language of computers? It was COBOL, Pascal, and then C, C++, Java, all these things were there. But now what is there? The flavor is Python. So now the language has again changed, and this has become another language that I just recently heard about. It is which we have to learn. We have to teach our children that. It is called Twitterliture. Now, Twitterliture is a mixture of Twitter and literature. So if you want to communicate some part, supposing there is a Jane Austen novel, you want to communicate through Twitter. There is this language which is called Twitter literature. So this is another thing. And this is again, that is something that we have to sort of teach our children. So language where we need to communicate with human beings and language which we need to communicate with the machine is what is the order of the day. So today we have to learn this, like these things, if we want to communicate effectively. So that is, and then we talk about collaboration. Now collaboration will get enhanced only when we know the computer language. So whether we are talking about internet or augmented reality or whatever they are talking about, virtual reality. So we have to learn these languages. And just recently, just a few days back, I was reading, there is another language which is coming up. And that language is known as metaverse.
Okay.
Now this language, as of now, metaverse, meta means beyond, and STEM and verse means universe. So beyond the universe, a language which will teach you to go beyond the universe will be the language of communication for future. As of now, you know what? It is only a science fiction. It is not just real, but they are saying that just like some time back, face recognition was thought it cannot happen. You know, you saw the Star Wars and all that, and you saw the face and people would recognize. We thought, yes, sab to fiction hai. It has actually happened. Voice recognition, face recognition, everything is happening. Similarly, this metaverse, who knows, sometime back, maybe in my lifetime itself, you know, we will have to learn this, or our children will have to learn it. Because here this term means a virtual space within a digital environment. So within a digital environment, there is a virtual space where if you have to communicate in that space, you should know metaverse, this language. So that is another thing that is so this is the latest buzzword these days. And now, you know what the communication, sort of this challenge or the goal that we have. What is this challenge and the goal? That we have to teach our children better, so that they are able to communicate, to help these young. So we have to help these young people so that they are fit and useful in the existing world. In this existing world, what is it that they should learn so that they are fit for today and be prepared for tomorrow? So that is the language of communication that has to be actually taught. So the purpose of better communication and collaboration will be to shape a better world, to create a better world. So this is what, you know, this is what I feel, you know. But as I said, you know, your net is full of communication and collaboration, so you can read all those things. So I wouldn't like to repeat all those things which are there. But still, another thing. Now, communication is generally taken for granted. No communication hai kya hai? Isme to kuch hai hi nahi. So communication is generally sort of taken for granted. And why is it used? It is used for giving, for receiving, or for an engaging conversation. You use communication for all these things. And we all know that there are basically 4 or 5 types of communication. One is what you call the verbal communication, which is oral face-to-face when we are in real classroom, or it is oral distance sort of communication, what we are doing just now. Then, as we all know, there is non-verbal communication. As Ashok Pandey ji said, you know, the eye contact, the body language, the facial expression, the gesture. He has used the word gesture and body language for me. And I think people tell me that if my hands are tied, I will not be able to talk. So I think he has used it correctly, because I just cannot, because I feel what I say. So my hands also start speaking what I would like to say. So there is this verbal communication. There is this non-verbal communication. If I stare at you, you know that I'm angry or I'm annoyed, right? If I smile, you know, all is well in the world. That is how it is. Then there is also what you call the formal and the non-formal, informal communication. If you write a formal letter to a staff saying something, she means business. And an informal one will be okay. ठीक है, you know, she's upset, but it doesn't matter. You know, I think you should take care of it in future. ठीक है, but would like to take an explanation as to why this happened. Well, this is formal. This means something. So you have, by the way you write, you have communicated what you would like to say. And then there is this visual communication. What you see all those photographs, and then you are able to actually communicate through photos. You have already said that my face always is smiling. So it can, even if I'm not wanting it, it is communicating something. So apart from the communicating with human beings, as I told you, communicating with machines that I told you, and you know what, many years ago, 400 years ago, you know, Galileo, he said mathematics is also a language of communication. Now, how, I have not read it, so I do not know, but I've just read that that is also a language of communication. And that mathematics communicates with nature. That's what he felt. Okay. So that is another sort of thing that, anyway, we must also understand that communication is both positive and negative. We all know it's positive. So, and depending on what we want to communicate. So it can be positive. So today we need to stress not how well informed a person is, but how to put across what you wish to say. Because that is more important. Rather than pulling somebody down, how do you put across something which is not so palatable, not so good, not so positive? How do you put that across so that the message goes, but at the same time, the person is not hurt or damaged completely, mentally damaged completely? So that is very, so what they say, speaking in a forked tongue. So if you speak in a forked tongue at an international forum, you are sure that, you know, the international collaboration that is going to be there is already going to be over. So that is another thing that has to be sort of learned. So when we collaborate, you know, everybody has to be aligned. Now, when we are aligned, that does not necessarily mean that, you know, all our ideas, you know, I sort of agree with your ideas and you agree with my ideas. It doesn't mean that. But it means that we will all put our efforts together to coexist and do something better. So you leave aside your little sort of heartaches and heartburns, work towards a common goal. So that is what collaboration is. That is what is the thing that we need to teach our children. We need to teach our teachers. We need to teach everybody in the world today. Because if it is not, what is it? We will have fragmented countries and nations. There will be fights, whether it's among students, whether it's parents, schools, community, society, world, everywhere. So that is again something that is very, very important. And so here we need to teach that communication exists both as a left and a right. So there are leftists, there are right people, but quintessentially, what is there? That healthy democracy. Let everybody speak, let everybody communicate, let everybody, then only a healthy collaboration for the benefit of all will develop.
True.
Otherwise, it will not. Otherwise, it will be polarized. And anything that is polarized will be dead after some time.
Absolutely.
It will not grow. So this process of aligning, you know, over here you have to stress on healthy debating. So you have to teach children healthy debating, staff as well. Open mindset, you should have an open mindset, not a closed mindset. And listen to everybody's point of view. They also serve who only stand and wait. So they too all have a story to tell. So that is another thing that we need to do. And as I said, that communication has a lot of heartaches and heartburns and a lot of angst also, you know. So you have to teach the youth, you have to teach your children, you have to teach your young teachers that temper and season your reasoning. So your reasoning has to be tempered and seasoned. Whatever you want to say has to be tempered with a reason. You have to have logic behind what you're saying. Don't crystallize it. Don't cement it, but have an open dialogue. So either be convinced or get convinced. That should be your mantra, because that is the way it should be. So that, then what happens? Your arguments will then turn into discussions. You know, otherwise there will always be arguments. So if you are with an open mindset, so read so much, understand so much, have so much of depth within you that you are able to convince the other person. If you are shallow, you will not be able to convince. Or even if you try and convince by rhetorics, by big words, it is very, very clear to the other person that the person doesn't know, but by virtue of his or her post, we have nothing else to do but to listen to that person and say a big yes, right? That will never lead good results. People will do it out of fear, out of whatever, but it will never sort of reap good results with actually a lot of good intent and positivity there. So that is another thing that, because you know what happens these days, sometimes I don't see the news or something, but you hear these screeching sort of debates in the news. And over there, I sometimes wonder, can't we teach people to discuss rather than shout? I shout, as they say, shouting above the din. You know, instead of shouting, can you speak your words quietly and gently? This is what Desiderata also says. You know, speak your truth quietly and gently. Listen to others, even the vain and the ignorant. They too have their story. So that is another thing that we would like to do. Now, one more thing. Hello? Yeah. Another thing that I would like to say is that when we communicate with our heart in the right place, that is the time right learning will be the natural outcome. So if you want the right sort of outcome, right product, then speak with your heart. And I am sure if you speak with your heart, others will understand that, yes, this is genuine or this is made up or whatever. So that's another thing. Now, I'll talk about something which I had read. Again, that is what I have read, that there are 9 C's for effective communication. And the 9 C's are, the first they talk about congruency. Now, congruency is what? Make sure what words you use, the tone of your voice, your body language, and the way you convey your message. This is the beginning of your communication. If you are able to hold this, you have won the battle. So first is this. And the second is be concise, which I am not just now. So if you have to be effective, you should be concise, short and crisp. Otherwise, after some time, your mind wanders. I don't know how many people's minds would be wandering right now, but anyway. The third, again, I think either Mr. Hasija or Mr. You spoke about clarity. Clarity is another thing. You should be clear. People should know what you want. What are you trying to say? Otherwise, there will be a lot of cacophony and so full of sound and fury signifying nothing. That is what is going to happen. Consistently, be consistent in your workplace. Today you're saying something, tomorrow you're wavering and saying something else. When there is no consistency, nobody is going to take you seriously. And the whole thing is going to be a big, big mess. So consistency is another thing for good communication. Next is consider your audience. Like today, my audience, I suddenly realized that it is not children. It is us, the grown-ups. And us, the grown-ups, you know, why should one say something which is there and which can be read? Let us talk from heart to heart, a heart-to-heart conversation. So know your audience, consider your audience. The people may want to know something different from what is already known, or something more if you can. So that is another thing. content should be valid. It should be appropriate. That is again, say, instead of wandering all over the bush, it should be, content has to be sort of specific to the topic or issue. Then you need to check your understanding, which I'm not doing. So this is not good communication. So you have to check the understand, whether the people are understanding what you are saying, whether the students are understanding what you are trying to teach. So take feedback, check that, and then choose the right medium of message. You may use whatever language. For a little child, you may like to use cartoons, you may like to use something else, somewhere you would like to use music, somewhere you would like to show them a clipping. So they say choose the right medium which is appropriate to the audience that you are addressing. So that's another thing. And the language, it should be a common language, common to the group that you are sort of actually addressing. So these are some of the things, if one takes care of these 9 sort of C's, effective C's for communication, definitely sort of communication is going to become sort of good. And another effective communication which people talk about is have a warm atmosphere. Think before you want to speak anything, and you have your objectives in place. You so empathize with others. So this is something that you should do. And you know what, internet, we all talk about internet today, that internet is being used for communication. Internet was actually born on 28th of October, 1969. And there were 3 people who started this, this internet. And the first word that they used, the first message that they sent was login, the word login. After 3 words, it crashed.
Oh,
So this is how we started. But from there, from 69 till now, you see how internet is being used as a great communication tool. So that is it. And the other language, which sort of one day I was listening to Professor Pant, and he said that there is something now going to come as quantum internet. I still have to know what quantum internet is, but sort of that's another sort of talk which is a buzz saying that that is also going to be a language of communication. Now, sometimes, you know what, communication has to be kept very secret. There has to be a secrecy in communication sometimes. And I will give you another example. Example of the Second World War. During the Second World War, Germans lost. We all say that Germans lost because of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yes, that is true. But there was another reason behind it. What had happened, that there was a person by the name of Alan Turing, and he was able to decipher the communication between the Germans and what was their plan, how and what they were going to do, what was their next step and move, and their movement. So their plan was known, and because their plan was known, that is why they were able to do it. So that secrecy has to be such that others should not know. But if the secrecy is out, the communication is out in the open, and you don't want it to be in the open, then again, there is something which can absolutely turn the tables around. So that's another thing. So communication can be coded, it can be secure, and also it can be open. So communication can be a secret, communication can be open. In the olden days, there were a lot of secretive things. You have these, when you go to the archaeological survey, those people, they have those little tablets, you have those signs and things like that, and they try and decipher what it means, because that information was some of it was kept secretive. So you have to keep on learning these languages to understand, so in order to decipher. So communication and language is also used for these things. Now, written and spoken language is very, very powerful. We all know written language and spoken language is very powerful. Let's see what the language of internet will do later on. But if you want your language to be rich, if you really want your language to be powerful and have a great impact, there are a few things that one uses. And what is it? Like they say that prosodic. Prosodic is what? Prosodic is a communication where you stress or emphasize on something. Supposing I say, I did not say that you are a thief. I did not say that you were a thief. I did not say that you were a thief. Now, what is happening? In this way, what are you doing? you are enriching your language and you are trying to express. So by the way you stress your words, you are communicating something to the other person, and the other person will know, should I collaborate with this person or should I not? Right? There is another sort of thing that is used in communication, in written and spoken sort of communication, and that is what is called anaphora. Now, this anaphora is when you stress upon a word or a line, or repeat a word and a line in order to lay emphasis on it. Right? So, like you say, we are all honorable men. Actually, you are trying to say something. We are all honorable men. Means you are actually not, all of us are not honorable men. Then there is another one which Churchill had said. He has said, we shall fight them on the land, we shall fight them on the sea. And he has said it in a very stern manner. That means we mean business. This is what we are going to do. So this anaphora is another way to communicate and in a sort of be very, very effective. So these are some of the ways in which you can use language, whether spoken or written or internet or gesture or posture or whatever it is, to actually either make a life, break a life, make communication, break a communication, depending on how you use it. That is another thing. Now let me talk about, collaboration. The other word you had given me was collaboration. So now there are 5 skills, and Mr. Ashok Pandey would, who better than him, would know about the SDGs and the skill development that is required in order to collaborate. He beautifully collaborates with so many people across the continent, in the world. And how? Because he knows the art of communication, he knows the art of collaboration. And same goes with Dr. Asija as well. So that is what it is. Now, how do you sort of collaborate? When you have to collaborate, you have to keep a few things in mind again. Now, how do you have to communicate? These are the things you must keep in mind to be a good communicator. Now, how will you communicate? First of all, set a goal, right? You set a goal, you say, this is my goal. And now I'm going to communicate by the ways that I told you, we listed out. Any of those ways, which is effective to the audience at that particular time, or to the audience with whom you are going to collaborate. Right? So that is the second thing that you. Then third thing, which again I am not doing, which you are doing, Mukta and so many others are doing, is to be an active listener. Because if you are an active listener, you will listen to all the things that are being said and internalize it. And then after that, you will be able to ask questions. Though, if a child becomes an active listener and asks a number of questions, I don't think so the child is very much appreciated by most of the teachers. But anyway, you have to be an active listener, because if you are an active listener, then your team ideas, your feedback, your advice, your opinion, all these things, you actively listening. So you will give all these things. You will give your feedback, you will give your advice, you will ask questions. So that will help in collaboration, because what will happen then? The problems that will come or the wrinkles that are there, that will be eased. The person has asked something, person, do you want to collaborate with the person? Person has not understood a few things, asks a couple of questions, those are ironed out, eased out, and then the collaboration is cemented. It becomes strong, it becomes impactful. That is what is required. But by doing all this, after problems, you've solved the problem, taken the feedback, there is one thing which is very, very important, and you will have to tell me when I have to finish off, and that is what is called time management. If I keep on rambling the way I'm rambling, I can go on and on and on. And time management sort of will go to the, I don't know where it will go. So time management, deadline setting is also something which is very important. So in collaboration, we have to recognize that we have to work together with each other for a common goal. So collaboration is working together with a common goal using the key of communication. So through communication, this is what you have to do. So and then after that, I will not talk about many things, because what happens when you're communicating, you have to have certain source in mind. Then after having that source, you should actually encode it, and then you have to transmit it. And after transmitting, the other person should receive it. After the other person receives it, the other person decodes it, and then the person comprehends it. When the person comprehends it, it's not over. The person has to reciprocate, because if that is not there, it is one-sided. So that is again another thing that has to be done, because collaboration is the backbone of modern society. And how you collaborate can be can be seen, it can be conceived by the way you communicate. So the key to collaboration is communicate better, communicate easier, be more efficient. And you should keep in mind that both communication and collaboration, they both are very important, and they need clarity. As I said, active listening, all these things are something which are of paramount importance. Now, there is one thing more, and that is, I'll try and finish off because I can see my watch, and that is that communication and collaboration may be two different processes, as I have been talking, but they allow relationship to function. Without that, relationship will not function. There will be no relationship. And the functioning of these relationships allow collaboration to not only occur, collaboration will not just take place, but it will be productive. And that is what we want. So we must remember that a team can collaborate if they communicate.
True.
The better you communicate, the better will be your collaboration. And the NEP, SDGs have talked about it. Again, I will not talk about it because people have been talking about it. But the SDG goals, there are these 17 goals. If people of the world, United Nations is talking about it, if you want to be successful and achieve those goals, how will you do it? Not in isolation. You have to collaborate. How will you collaborate? When you believe in it yourself, you make others believe in it, you speak truly and with clarity, and when others actually believe in what you are saying, there is no stopping, and the goals will be achieved. So that is what is important. And I would just like to end by saying that we must remember that communication need not always contribute to collaboration. It's not necessary whenever you are communicating, it will lead to collaboration. But collaboration cannot happen without communication. That is for sure. So collaboration happens when these two ingredients are there. That is communication as well as teamwork, isn't it? So I'll just like to end with just one little sentence, and that's it. So it says that no one can, isn't it? Single-handedly, no one can whistle a symphony. It takes an entire orchestra to play it.
Wow.
So let collaboration through positive communication create a beautiful symphony in this world today of cacophony and disharmony all around. Thank you so much.
Wow. This is just wonderful. Ji, Ashok sir.
I would like to come in because I'm so overwhelmed and I have to leave also. I don't want to be disrespectful to my very dear friend, and therefore just give me 2 minutes. Rachna ji, I did say that you are a great communicator. Did I use some of the principles you taught? I did say that you are a great communicator. Number two, one can, through communication, shout above the din. And one can communicate even to create a deafening silence, right? And these are the two elements that you brought out, and I'm so happy about it. And the third thing I want to tell you, you mentioned about how mathematics could be a language of communication. And since you have talked about SDGs and all that, I'm just giving you a lighter glimpse. So I'm giving you an equation of mathematics, 3E equals 3S. 3E
didn't get you.
Yeah. a mathematical formula I'm giving you.
Okay.
3E equals 3S. So this is a mathematical formula. And
Okay.
what does it mean? Equity and excellence for everybody is equivalent to society's sustainability and success.
Okay. Wonderful.
Right?
See, I
So-
always say I learn
So
something.
that is how. So this is a mathematical formula. 3 is equal to 3S, right? And
Yes.
and the last thing that I want to tell you, Rachna ji, that you have evoked so much of passion and warmth that I think it was a master class on communication. And I'll request Mukta ji to repeat this class every 6 months. Okay.
Oh my God. No. See,
And
Ashok ji, you know what? Mukta ji had talked about saying that maybe you make PPTs or something. I said, then the attention is all. I'll just speak from my heart, whatever comes to me.
yes. And the last thing you talked about collaboration and communication. I can only give you an example how it functions. You have explained everything beautifully. The words fight against corona is as a result of communication, right? It is through communication
yes.
that we have been able to fight it together across the world. The
Absolutely.
The distancing, the separation, and whatever we have done, I think it has only happened through communication.
Yes.
And whenever we face problem, it was because we could not communicate nicely. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think this intricacy of this relationship and intimacy of this relationship between communication and collaboration is something that you brought out very beautifully. So thank you very much. God bless you. And may you keep communicating with the same fervor ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am. Ma'am, there is a question in the Q&A box. Many misunderstandings remain because people do not communicate to melt down walls between them. What will you do for that? What is your advice, Prabhi?
If there is a miscommunication, the best and the only thing is to be upfront about it. Talk to the person one-on-one. As I said earlier in my talk only, convince or get convinced. Understand that you too can make a mistake. You too can falter. Otherwise, this channel, bridge, the gap will widen and then there will be no meeting. So if there is a misunderstanding, and always both of them have to sit with an open mind and not be rigid. Because sometimes what happens, the other person feels, no, whatever I have said is right and whatever the other person is wrong. If you've come with that mindset, nothing can be done. Remember, you are sort of educated, you are mature, you are grown up, and it is in the wisdom that you listen to the others also and think that, sometimes we may also falter. We are not gods, and this is not a utopian world.
The last question, I really want to listen to you more and more, but time is not permitting. The last question is in our classrooms, what shall we teach as, the internet language, the WhatsApp language, the Twitter literature you have referred. When we see these teachers, the young teachers especially, they use quite a lot of this WhatsApp language, and we are a little concerned. No, children will follow it. You may write it on the board, or do not use this language when you are communicating through WhatsApp or through email with the parents. What is your message for that?
See, my message is very simple. Just as we learn two languages together and we use it simultaneously, you're using Hindi at home, English in the school, and very equally. Similarly, have a good balance. Where the language of the internet is required, use it. Where normal communication is required, then with the vowels and the consonants, as I said, then use that. So have a beautiful balance, because as this is a transition phase, and you cannot just break and say this is the end and that is it. Till such time as there is a smooth transition, you will have to go parallel like you go with two languages.
Because in these formative years, I believe the children will learn the WhatsApp language or the Twitter language can be learned anytime at a later stage.
Yes, like I'm learning, see, I learned, I didn't even understand.
I still
Too long, didn't read it,
I'll
So
just
that
share
is
in one of the conferences, the host asked me, ma'am, you know FOMO, you know FOGO. I said no, and he has audience. I think everybody in the audience knew it, and I was on the stage, I didn't know anything. So that's the thing, but we are still learning. And I think Monica also said a couple of days
Yes.
back, BTW. So I asked Bittu Tiki wala hi suna hai humne to BTW, but then she told me some other version of the WhatsApp, and she was giggling, sending me emojis with that. Thank you so much.
I told you what a mess I made when I sent that. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much for listening to me and giving me this opportunity to air my views.
It's our privilege, ma'am. You have been here.
Thank you, Samurja. You people are doing actually a wonderful job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Today was.
Kriti, over to you for the formal vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to one and all present here. I would like to express my gratitude to all the esteemed delegates of the talk show Education 4.0 for their presence and contribution to make this episode of the talk show a great success. Ms. Rachna Pant ma'am, thank you for deliberating on the topic Communication for Collaboration for Safe, Sustainable Societies. With your expert guidance, give us a real insight and motivate educators to design their future classes. Ma'am talked about 9 C's for effective communication, and they are cohesion, concise, clarity, consistent, consider the audience, content should be valid, check the understanding of your message, choose the right medium to address, and the last, the language should be common for all. Collaboration is working together with a common goal and with healthy communication. A special thanks to Dr. Rajesh Hasija sir and Dr. Ashok Pandey sir for providing immense support. Also, I would like to extend a special thanks to Dr. Mukta Mishra ma'am for inspiring us and motivating us to do our best. I extend my big thanks to our team Samurja for their support and a heartfelt gratitude to all our educators who joined us today. Thank you for making this event successful with your contribution. Once again, thank you everyone. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Kriti. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vijay.